I'm Nick Seco from Home Right Windows and Doors, and we're located in Waynesboro, Pennsylvania. So we do vinyl replacement windows, we do steel and fiberglass entry doors, we do aluminum storm doors, and we do sliding patio doors, all made by Provia. The windows are a vinyl replacement window, and it could be anything from double hungs to casements to bay and bow windows and everything in between. So when somebody calls in the office and needs an estimate, they get Roxanne on the phone typically, and she would schedule an appointment for me to come out and take some measurements, provide some literature, go through what options we have, and then I would follow up within about 24 to 48 hours with an estimate with all the details of the products as well as the installed price. I find that we're typically much more affordable than the companies that you see advertising on TV or in a lot of other places. If they're spending a lot of advertising dollars, obviously they're passing those costs on to their consumers. You could go to our website at homerightwaynesboro.com, or you could call us at 717-749-4874.
Local and live, covering Franklin and Washington counties, it's Let's Talk TriState with Tiny and Katie.
Welcome to Let's Talk TriState, all powered by Home Right Windows and Doors in Waynesboro, the right choice winner in the 2024 Best of the TriState Awards. Speaking of Best of the TriState, one of our friends from just south of Mason-Dixon down in Washington County, Paul Frey. Paul is the president of the Washington County Chamber of Commerce. Paul, good to have you again, my friend.
Good to be here. Thanks for the invitation. Always good to talk with you.
Pleasure as always. The feeling is mutual. You have an open door here whenever you'd like it on Let's Talk TriState. So nothing speaks Tri-State for anywhere in the country more than the local businesses, our local economy. And that's where you come in. So we have a lot to cover today, but for those of our viewers who may not have met you via Let's Talk Tri-State and may not have heard about you, they may have heard of a Chamber of Commerce wherever they are in their municipality, but take us through what the Chamber does, the primary mission of the Washington County Chamber of Commerce.
Our primary mission is to protect the investment businesses have made. And so there's a lot going on in Annapolis, which we'll talk about. But business owners, in particular small business owners, work really hard just to make payroll, just to take care of their customers. Right. So our first initiative is to help support businesses. Secondly, after you have a strong private sector, you have to have a great community. So we work really hard with the school system, public safety, arts and entertainment, things that people want to do when they're not working. So focus on the private sector, and it makes sure we have a great community in which to live.
What about 2025? Because last time we talked to you, we were putting a wrap and a bow on 2024. Yes. So what about 2025 excites you when it comes to business in Washington County?
We have a lot going on. We, of course, opened the new ball stadium last year, Meredith Park. Mm-hmm. Just this past January, we opened our new field house, the city of Hagerstown, where the old ballpark was. So
that's open now.
It's open. It's beautiful. It has two full field turf facilities. Has hard court for basketball, volleyball, pickleball. The first 6 weeks it's been open, it's gotten way over 1,000 people a weekend.
Wow.
The great news there, plenty of parking.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, and so if you want to come out and we can host tournaments, instead of people leaving our community, they can come to our community and host tournaments.
I was going to say, there's an observation area in
absolutely,
the main
top
courts, correct?
There is.
Yeah.
There's also a gym up top that's only $45 a month to have a gym membership. So It's really a nice facility. We're excited about that. Our Hub City Brewery opened up on Potomac. It was the former place where fire station was, but also our farmers market. And so Dave and his son Jake have opened it up. They have other vendors in there. Mm-hmm. Our Bailey's Cask and Kettle, they have bagels in the front. They have beer in the back, has opened up. Wow. There's a lot of things going on. And then coming up this fall, our Emeritus medical school, osteopathic medicine, is going to be opening up in the fall with about 100 docs. And then at full capacity, will be over 700 medical school students in about 4 years.
That is wonderful. I've seen that, having to travel to Emeritus about 2 times a week. I've seen that in all of its progression, and it's just amazing to think that then the last time I saw it, I don't even know that I saw walls.
I know.
And that was only a few months ago, and now you're talking about the opening coming up.
Well, if your boss will let you off, I don't know what your schedule is in the morning, but April 2nd, we're having the AIDS and Issues. It'll be at the new medical school. They're going to host us in the community room. and they're going to do tours of the medical school.
Oh, wonderful.
So you can be my guest if your boss will let you off. Just
Okay.
let me know.
I might take you up on that. I would love to see that. So let's talk about now, you mentioned legislation to me off air.
Yes.
And you just said, you alluded to Annapolis. And we know that local legislation on the state level happens in Annapolis, the Maryland state capital. So what is going on? This is probably the point where we get the not so good news or the less than favorable news, not as sexy as a ballpark and things of that nature, but no less important. What's going on there, Paul?
Well, we knew coming into this year, Maryland was going to be at about a $3 billion deficit for their budget. So their expenses outpaced the revenues, otherwise known as taxes, by $3 billion.
Sure.
Well, frankly, we knew about this 5 years ago when the blueprint for education was implemented. It was anticipated a $3 to $5 billion deficit about this time. And so it's not a surprise, but the can was kicked down the road. So what's happening is our legislators in Annapolis are looking to close that gap. They call it revenue enhancement. We call it taxes. And so while we were fighting other not friendly legislation for businesses, this has come up in the last couple of weeks. We fought off the 2.5% business-to-business professional taxes, where almost every profession had to charge a 2.5% tax. We fought that off.
Explain that to our viewers.
So if you are, for instance, for your business, you're a radio station, and if you work in Maryland, if you have a business in Maryland, and you wanted to have outside your radio station your lawn cut, well, you have to. Your lawn care maintenance will have to charge you 2.5%.
On top of the tax they're already charging.
On top of the fees.
Sure.
If you want to get a website done, you would have to pay that professional 2.5% because they have to charge you for that. If you wanted to get your taxes done as a small business, your CPA has to charge you 2.5% tax. Guess who is exempt? Attorneys.
Okay.
They didn't, as a profession, didn't have to do it. So we fought that off. We had over 400 people opposed that legislation. 200 showed up in Annapolis in person, say this is bad. So they said, all right, we were just kidding. We won't do that. But yesterday they rolled out a 3% tech tax. And that's going to affect everybody as well. Across the board, a tech tax raised $1 billion worth of revenue. And that covers everybody from computing infrastructure, data processing services, web hosting services, providing custom computer programming services, computer training, repairing your computers, it covers. So that's just a small piece that this tax will cover, and it's going to impact everybody from the business owner to the consumer. And, you know, small businesses over the years have already been crushed by legislation between $15 an hour minimum wage, safe and sick leave, family medical leave insurance. So all this on top of it. And as you know, you're in Pennsylvania, we're really close to Washington County, Pennsylvania, West Virginia. And so what might happen is businesses will either hire an accountant or hire a computer company outside of Maryland in West Virginia and say, we do our work for us. They may not be taxed. And they will also maybe relocate outside the area. Now, after this press conference, when the governor and his leadership presented this new tax, one of the reporters there asked the governor, said, what would make businesses decide to come to Maryland? And with a straight face, I'm going to quote this. The governor said, we're a state that's providing the best climate for them, making Maryland more business friendly. We are unapologetically pro-business. After spending 20 minutes saying, here's what we're going to do. Yeah. And so what they're saying is not what they're doing. So we're really concerned about that. We think the House and the Senate's going to pass this legislation, pass this budget without any input. So we're currently fighting it. So it's March Madness for NCAA basketball. Well, this is March Madness in the state of Maryland.
Yeah, I think too is that when you have politicians are known for this, when they will spend a certain amount of time extolling the virtues of what they offer for X, Y, and Z, and then 5 minutes later, basically saying the opposite. It's the old analogy: don't spit on me and try to tell me it's raining.
Right. You said it nicer.
Well, yes, I did. I did clean that up. You're right. We know what the original quote is, but no less true. And people often don't look past this fact. The government does not make money.
Right.
The government prints money sometimes, most often, too frequently, but the governments don't make money. That is that is the taxpayers. That's the constituents. That's your money, my money, everyone's money. The government doesn't make it themselves. We earn it. And it seems like the politicians have no problem, but they obviously have no problem spending it. But they have a horrible problem with arranging a budget. And if you manage your money, or if I manage my money like the government manages money, we'd have nothing.
Right.
We'd be broke in debt up to our ears.
We had one of our senators, Rosa Pepp, said to one of the folks that was opposing this 2.5% tax, he said, Senator Rosa Pepp said, well, give us some solutions. And Darren Clark, who was testifying, said, you wouldn't like my solutions. Let me look at your books, because what I suggest you do, you may not want to do. And so I just got this from the Baltimore Sun this morning. If you're in business, you're not doing well, you look at, do I cut labor? Do I cut expenses? Do I cut benefits? When I worked in the restaurant business, we looked at labor costs every hour. We took a reading. How much sales we're doing, how many people do we have working. Mm-hmm. So the government doesn't do that. Let me give you an example. Over the last 10 years, Maryland's government's payroll has outpaced inflation by 13%. So maybe you got a 1% raise, maybe you didn't get one. So our friends in the state government got a 13% raise since 2022.
Way ahead of the curve, mind you.
Yeah, and wait for this. Since 2022, the payroll has outpaced inflation by 30% since 2014. Wow. And so that's a problem. Now, I do like the governor personally. I've met him. He's a very nice gentleman.
Yes.
So his executive department has 200 employees. Under his direct purview, he has 200 people. For the last 2 years, they've had a 20% increase in personnel expenses. And so what we're suggesting is to government, cut back like business would. Yeah. And if you don't have enough, don't give raises. If you're paying a certain percentage of benefits, health insurance, maybe the employee has to pay more, just like we do in the private sector. And so those are things we need to do. So what they'll say is the budget's flat to last year. Yes, it is, but we've made no cuts.
Right.
We just haven't increased the taxes as much as they want to. Mm-hmm. So at some point, you have to cut back some, just like you talked about at home. If you have a certain amount of money you're making, or if your expenses go up, you buy a new car, you have to replace your hot water heater, or if a business has to replace HVAC.
We can't afford that Starbucks coffee every day.
Or we can't go on vacation this year, or we can't go to Disney World, maybe we can go to Hershey Park. Mm-hmm. And so what we're suggesting to our state government is make the same decisions we would do. Cut back. You have to spend less than you're bringing in. Yeah. And so that's what we're dealing with.
In other words, Paul, live within your means.
Live within your means. And I will tell you what we did fight back. They did want to put in a 2 cents per ounce sugar tax. So if you buy a soda in Maryland and it's 24 ounces, you have to pay 48 cents per soda. So that we got that rid of. They wanted
a very New York piece of legislation.
New York, which they cut back after they did it. Mm-hmm. $20 an hour minimum wage proposal. We fought. That's going away. This is one of my favorite. They had harassment legislation. They defined harassment, for example, as, so if you were in a business and you felt harassed, you could call this hotline if your boss hired an incompetent person. All right. So if you worked with incompetent people, you're being harassed. If you were assigned an excessive workload, you're being harassed. And if someone took credit for your work, so you had a good idea, and they said, hey, that's my idea, you were being harassed.
You know what this is? This is a legislative nightmare. I should say a litigation nightmare.
Yes.
All of these things, how do you litigate it?
Right.
It is going to take, it's going to jam up the courts. Because, Paul says, Tiny took credit for my work. How do we prove it? Right. Well, as with anything, we're going to go to court.
That's right.
And we're probably going to, it's basically, that to me sounds like settlement law.
Yeah.
This is a law so you can get financial settlements.
And a friend of mine said, you know what happens when I work for a jerk? I find another job.
Yeah.
Or exactly. If I work with people who aren't pulling their weight. Mm-hmm. We also knocked off, thanks to the Maryland Chamber, the Attorney General wanted to start conducting inspections of businesses looking for hiring independent contractors. Right now, it's focused on landscaping and construction. So the people you're paying as independent contractors, are they definitely that? Well, they wanted to broaden that to come back to any business. So come in here, if you're in Maryland, come into your radio station and see if Blake is paying people correctly. Now, that's okay, but if you say, you know what, I want to practice my Fourth Amendment right against illegal search and seizure, let me call my attorney. Can you come back? We can come back, but it could be a $5,000 fine because you won't let us in right now. Mm-hmm. So again, all this talk about being business friendly is not being business friendly.
Right. Yeah.
So it's a concern. Our rankings, I just wanted to read from the Maryland Chamber put together a competitiveness red book. So right now, Maryland ranks out of 50 states 46th for overall state business tax climate. So we're 46 out of 50. We're 45th in economic freedom. We're 44th in population migration loss. So we're losing people from this state. And then we're 39th in job growth. So again, the talk doesn't match the actions. And so we're fighting really hard. Again, we work closely with the Maryland Chamber. We work closely with our chambers across the state to try to encourage our General Assembly lawmakers to just back off a little bit. A woman testified against the $20 an hour minimum wage for tip. She says, I make more than $20 an hour. She said, this is my third time I've been in Annapolis. They told me to saddle up. I saddle up. I get on my horse. I come in and I testify. She said, the horses get tired.
Yeah.
She said, just leave us alone.
Right.
And so that's kind of our message. There is a role for government. In a free market economy, government cannot tell business what to do, and it does not have a good outcome. So that's our concern.
Well, what did Ronald Reagan say? The nine most frightful words. I'm from the government. I'm here to help.
And government is not the solution. Government is the problem.
Exactly.
And so again, there's a role: trash, public safety.
Yes.
Make sure people are adhering to laws. And when it comes to a free market economy, let the business owners decide how much to pay their employees. If you want the best employees, pay them most. If you want employees to stay, treat them well. You can't legislate being nice.
Well, and you will also, I think you'll find that if you let the free market decide that, the market will bear what the market will bear. What happens is if you find that your employees are leaving and they're going from your business to a similar business down the road, then you need to reevaluate.
Yes.
Why are they going there? Oh, well, I heard so-and-so left because they weren't making enough money. Right. And then if that trend continues, as a business owner, you begin to think, okay, I need to reassess. Yes. But here you are legislating, it's a preemptive measure to say it needs to be mandated at this. Well, a lot of these jobs too, Paul, is entry-level jobs were historically not meant to be the career path.
Right.
They're called entry-level jobs for a reason. I'm not knocking any of them. Yeah. I did them.
Hey, I made my living off of them.
Exactly. We all did. Well, not all, but most of us have worked those jobs. I mopped floors at a supermarket. I hauled Machem Music, which was in Hagerstown years ago. I used to be the person who, when they would go to every school at the beginning of the year to show instruments and potentially get rentals, I would haul those. I would clean the instruments after a kid tried them. I would do all, these menial tasks, but I also knew that this was not going to be my career.
Maybe being a laborer for a summer, if you're going to school, it's not supposed to be a living wage.
Right.
Minimum wage, it's designed for typically high school students, first jobs, teach them how to do this. So, what our elected officials are saying is they're modernizing our tax system.
Yes.
So, in other words, we're raising more money. And
I think what we need to do is don't modernize the tax system. You need to modernize your budget. That's what you need to do.
And it's borderline socialism. Margaret Thatcher would say the problem with socialism is pretty soon you run out of other people's money. The business owners are saying we don't have any more money. We're not making a lot of money. We're just trying to pay our bills. So it's a concern. I'm guessing they're well intentioned. We just have a different look at the private sector and our government, how to be successful. And if you can let businesses be successful, be prosperous, they'll hire more people. I say I love meeting millionaires because they hire landscapers, they go to the dry cleaners, they eat out more often, they buy bigger, newer cars, they buy bigger. So, they help grow the economy. And guess what? They pay a tax on a little bit higher income, but the more they can make, the more they can hire people, the more our taxes go up. That will benefit. We're just saying spend it in the right place.
Yes.
Those who can work, let's have them work. Those who don't need this extra money, let's say get to work.
Paul, I think you and I could sit here and preach to the choir, which is fine with me. We could do that forever. But the point is that, get involved. If you're a business owner and you're hearing this and you're watching this, contact Paul with the Washington County Chamber of Commerce. Find out how you can help. If there's an organization for, you have the dates of when certain testimonies are going to be heard.
Yep.
So you can point those folks in the right direction. So if you're in business in Washington County, Maryland, or in any part of Maryland, really, and you're hearing this, the best thing you can do is get involved and try to fight back the tide that's coming, because the government knows how to do one thing: tax and spend.
And the business owners are so busy on their business,
Yes.
they don't always have time. So if there's someone interested, they can contact me at hagerstown.org. Happy to share information and happy to hear them out.
Sounds good. Paul, thank you so much for joining us on Let's Talk
thanks.
Tri-State today. It's Let's Talk Tri-State, all powered by Virtus Men's Health in Hagerstown. Telehealth available. Find them online, virtusmenshealth.com.
Let's talk Tri-State.
If you'd like to be featured on an upcoming episode of Let's Talk Tri-State, call 717-597-9200 or email letstalk@921thegoat.com.